In the past few lectures, we have learnt about vectors in 2 dimensions and how to represent a vector in 2 dimensions. And today, in this first part, we will be learning about representation of a vector in 3 dimensions and the angle made by the vector with x, y, and z axis. And the angle made by the vector with x, y, z axis, they are called as directional cosines. In today's session, we will be learning about directional cosines and we will solve some problems based on addition of vectors, and then we will move on to multiplication of vectors in this video session. Now in the figure, clearly it is seen a vector, it is u bar, and this vector is in 3 dimensions. It is extending along x-axis, y-axis, and as well as z-axis. And projection along x-axis, this projection along x-axis, you can write it as r x. Projection along y-axis, this length along y-axis, it is r y. And projection along z-axis, this length I am considering it as r z. Now you can write down this vector as it is extended in 3 dimensions. You can write this vector as u bar is equal to, u bar can be written as rx I cap plus ry j cap plus rz k cap, where I cap, j cap, k cap are the unit vectors along x-axis, y-axis, and as well as z-axis. And what about these rx, ry, and rz? Rx, ry, and rz, comma ry, comma rz are called components of vector r bar along x comma y and z axis. Okay. Now from this figure, you can clearly see that u bar is making an angle alpha with x-axis, beta with y-axis, and gamma with z-axis. So you can construct triangle, right angle triangle with x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. So you can construct a right angle triangle in each case. Like if you are dealing with x-axis, this become right angle triangle. You need to project this vector to this position like this. I'll show you how it is from here to here. This become one right angle triangle, and this is perpendicular for that. This become perpendicular. Similarly, along y-axis also, along z-axis also, you can project them. I'll show you how to do that. This is along y-axis. Similarly, along z-axis, this is along z-axis. Okay. Now, from those right angle triangles, you can write cos alpha is equal to x component divided by magnitude of r, cos beta as y component divided by magnitude of r, and cos gamma is equal to magnitude of z component divided by magnitude of that vector along vector r bar. Where cos alpha, it is represented with L, cos beta represented with M, cos gamma represented with N. These L comma M comma N, or you can write them as cos alpha, cos beta, cos gamma, are called directional cosines. These are called as directional cosines. The directional cosines are directly written as shown in the from the figure. You can just use a right angle triangle concept and you can find out trigonometric ratios over there. Cos alpha, cos beta, cos gamma, they are nothing but They are known as directional cosines. Now, if I see these directional cosines, I'll write like, as we know, u bar is equal to rx I cap plus ry j cap plus rz k cap. How can you write magnitude of u? Magnitude of u can be written as rx whole square, ry whole square plus rz whole square. What is magnitude of u? It is r square is equal to, of course, root. I am bringing it to the other side, so it is r square is equal to rx. What is rx written as? Rx is equal to r cos alpha whole square plus r cos beta whole square plus r cos gamma whole square. R, you can take it common, and r square on both sides gets cancelled. So finally you can write 1 is equal to cos square alpha plus cos square beta plus cos square gamma. This is the final conclusion. That means the sum of squares of directional cosines of a vector in 3 dimension is equal to 1. And the same thing can also be written as L square plus M square plus N square will also be equal to 1, because cos alpha is L, cos beta is M, cos gamma is equal to N. Next thing, we can write sine square alpha as 1 minus cos square alpha. Is it not? Sine square alpha is equal to 1 minus cos square alpha. Or let me make it very simple. I'll write it as cos square alpha is equal to 1 minus sine square alpha, because cos square alpha plus sine square alpha is equal to 1. Similarly, cos square beta is equal to 1 minus sine square beta. Cos square gamma is equal to 1 minus sine square gamma. Okay. Now adding these three, what do you get? As we know, cos square alpha plus cos square beta plus cos square gamma is equal to 1. I can add these three, right? So what do you get? 3 minus, you can take it common, sine square alpha plus sine square beta plus sine square gamma is equal to 1. Now bring this 1 to left side and this total term to the other side. 3 minus 1 become 2 is equal to sine square alpha plus sine square beta plus sine square gamma. Right? So 2 is equal to sine square alpha plus sine square beta plus sine square gamma. This is how you can write down in terms of sine angles, sine alpha, sine beta and sine gamma. These are called as directional cosines of the vector in 3 dimensions. This is the way you can represent a vector in 3 dimensions using directional cosines. Coming to one question. This is not based on directional cosines. It is just a simple numerical. In this, you are being given 3 vectors, A bar, B bar and P bar. And you need to find out the magnitude of P. You should find out the value of P such that the system is in equilibrium. A bar, B bar and P bar, these all are force. A bar is 10 Newton mentioned in the problem, B bar is 6 Newton and angle between B bar and A bar is equal to 53 degrees. You should now find out the vector P bar. You should find out vector P bar. So for that, I'll just take Cartesian coordinate system to represent these vectors. This is 1 and y-axis it is, this is y-axis. Along this is x minus x, y minus y. And A bar is making an angle 53 degrees with y-axis. So I can resolve that vector a bar into its components. Okay, so I can resolve this vector a bar into its components. One component along horizontal, another component along vertical, and this will be the right angle triangle. Okay, and this angle which is mentioned, it is 53 degrees, and this is horizontal component, vertical component. This become 10 cos 53 degrees, and this become 10 sine 53 degrees. Check it out. This is adjacent. It is 10 cos 53, and this is opposite for this 53 degrees. So it is 10 sine 53. Opposite should be represented with sine, adjacent with cos. Now I can write down individual vectors a bar, b bar. I can write down individually. A bar is equal to, along x-axis it is 10 sine 53 I cap plus 10 cos 53 j cap. A bar I have written in terms of vector. This is a bar is equal to 10 into sine 53. Sine 53 I can write it as 4 by 5 I cap plus 10 into cos 53, it is 3 by 5 j cap. This 5 to 10. 5 to 10. A bar is equal to 2 4s 8 I cap plus 2 3 6 j cap, and this is in Newton. So A bar magnitude we have got. Next, how do you write B bar? B bar, it is along y-axis, therefore it is 6 j cap. B bar is 6 j cap, that is along y-axis. As it is mentioned in the problem that A bar, B bar, C bar, the system is in equilibrium. As the system is in equilibrium, sum of all the forces should be equal to 0. So as sum of all the forces should be equal to 0, I'll be writing it as A bar plus B bar plus P bar is equal to 0, because there are only 3 forces acting in the system. So those 3 forces are A bar, B bar and P bar, and their sum should be equal to 0. Now I can write this as A bar plus B bar is equal to minus P bar. Then P bar is equal to minus of A bar plus B bar. Substitute A bar and B bar here. P bar is equal to minus of A bar is 8I plus 6j plus B bar is equal to 6j. This gives you finally P bar is equal to minus 8I minus 6612j. This is P bar. And magnitude of P bar can be written as under root minus 8 whole square plus minus 12 whole square. Of course, minus of whole square will be however positive, so directly you can take 8 square plus 12 square. This gives you magnitude of P. Angle made by the vector with this is like, let me consider it as pi. And what is its x component? X component is minus 8. What is its y component? It is minus 12. So how can you write angle? Tan pi is equal to minus 12 divided by minus 8. 4 2 is 8, 4 3 is 12. Pi is equal to tan inverse of 3 by 2. This is the final angle made by P bar with x-axis. And the vector P bar is equal to minus 8I and minus 12j cap. So far we have learned how to add vectors and subtract vectors using different laws. And now in this session we are going to learn about multiplication of vectors. When you are coming to multiplication of vectors, we have two different cases where you are multiplying a vector with a scalar. That's one. And the second thing is you are multiplying a vector with a vector. A vector can be multiplied with a vector. A vector can be multiplied with a scalar. For example, you have mass. Mass is equal to 5 kg. And we have acceleration a bar, which is equal to 2I cap plus 2J cap. A bar is acceleration, mass is 5 kg. This is what you have a scalar. Mass is a scalar. And acceleration is a vector quantity. Now, when you want to multiply these two, like you are multiplying a scalar with a vector, so that you will be getting force. What is force? F is equal to ma. Ma is mass and a is acceleration. That means this is a scalar quantity. And this is a vector quantity. You are multiplying a vector with a scalar quantity so that you are getting a resultant vector. Force is a vector quantity. Now, what happens to this? Check it up. Mass is 5 kg and acceleration is 2I plus 2J. This is equal to 10I plus 10J. What have happened here? Acceleration, it is 5 times increased. Initial acceleration is a bar. How many times it has been increased? 5 times it has been increased. Is there any change in the direction of acceleration, direction of force? Obviously no. Force is also along x-axis 10I cap and along y-axis 10J cap. Acceleration is northeast. Force is also northeast. Therefore, when you are multiplying a vector with a scalar, then only its magnitude undergo changes. Its direction remains same. For example, in this figure, you can see this is vector v bar. This is vector v bar. You are multiplying with 2 so that it becomes 2v. What is this 2v mean? 2v is equal to v bar plus v bar. V bar plus v bar gives you 2v. What have happened? The vector magnitude is increased 2 times. Similarly, we have v bar. If this vector is multiplied with 3, then it becomes 3v. 3v is nothing but v plus v plus v. So total it is 3v. As it is in opposite direction, it should be minus 3, right? So when you are multiplying a vector with positive scalar, the magnitude increases in the same direction. Whereas if you are multiplying a vector with a negative scalar, then its magnitude increases with opposite direction. Understood? For example, if you are multiplying this with minus 5, what do you get? Minus 5 kg into 2I plus 2J. This is equal to minus 10I minus 10J. This is in which direction? This will be obviously in third quadrant, right? As it is in third quadrant, you can write it as southwest. So when you are multiplying a vector with a negative scalar, its magnitude and as well as direction changes, but the direction will be exactly opposite to that of the first vector. Clear? So when simply in general, when you are multiplying a vector with positive scalar, its magnitude increases by scalar times, but direction will be unchanged. When you are multiplying a vector with negative scalar, its magnitude increases and direction will be in opposite to that of the initial vector. This is how you can multiply a vector with a scalar quantity. Coming to second category, it is multiplication of vector with a vector quantity. You are taking a vector and you are multiplying with another vector. In this case, when you are multiplying a vector, with a vector, the resultant can be sometimes scalar and the resultant can be sometimes vector. Okay. So when a vector is multiplied with a vector, sometimes you will be getting a scalar physical quantity, sometimes you will be getting a vector physical quantity. That depends upon which type of physical quantities you are multiplying. Okay. So when you are multiplying two vectors such that if the resultant is a scalar quantity, then such type of multiplication is called as dot product or scalar product. Similarly, when you are multiplying two physical quantities which are vectors, the resultant is also a vector quantity, then such type of multiplication is called as cross product or vector product. So when you are multiplying vector with a vector, we have two possibilities. The resultant physical quantity can be a scalar or vector. If you are multiplying two vectors in such a way that the resultant is a scalar physical quantity, then it is said to be as dot product. Whereas if you are multiplying two physical quantities such that the resultant is a vector quantity, then it is called as cross product or vector product. Remember that dot product is scalar product because the resultant is a scalar. Cross product is vector because the resultant is a vector quantity, and you need to represent it in particular direction. So in the first thing, like in this first session, we will be learning about a vector multiplied with a vector resulting in a scalar quantity that is dot product. Now what does dot product mean? See, you have two physical quantities and one is represented with a bar and the other one is represented with b bar. We have two different vectors. Say for example, a bar, you can take it as force. B bar, you can take it as displacement. Displacement is a vector quantity. Force is also a vector quantity. You are multiplying these two vector quantities so that you will be getting some physical quantity, right? And that physical quantity, depending on its quality, you can tell it whether it is scalar or vector. So generally, force multiplied with displacement gives you work done. So work done is a scalar quantity. Such type of multiplication is called as dot product. Now, when you are dealing with dot product, what actually you are doing is, you are taking a physical quantity a bar and b bar such that a bar, b bar are inclined by an angle theta. Now b bar is purely horizontal, a bar is in the plane. This vector is in plane. It means that it is in xy plane. I need to resolve this vector a bar into its components. I can resolve this vector a bar into its component. This is horizontal component. I can write it as a cos theta. And vertical component, I can write it as a sin theta, right? So this is one way where you are resolving the vector which is in plane into its components a cos theta and a sin theta. As a result, a cos theta which is parallel to b bar, you can multiply that component which is parallel to b bar. So when you are multiplying two vectors by dot product, what you actually do is, you will be taking a component which is parallel to vector b bar and you multiply these two. Okay, so one thing you need to understand here is components of vectors. Scalar. Component of a vector is a scalar quantity. Remember that. So that means a cos theta, a sin theta, these are scalars. Just they has only magnitude. Okay. So components are always along x-axis or y-axis for any given vector. That's the reason why you can simply call them as scalars. Components of a given vector is a scalar. Now what actually you are doing in dot product is, you are simply multiplying the component of a bar multiplied with b, right? So component of a bar which is parallel, component of a bar which is parallel to b bar is multiplied to get a scalar, right? So I will be writing it as a bar, read it as dot a bar dot b bar. A bar dot b bar is equal to, So when you are multiplying two vector quantities by dot product, what you need to do? You need to take the component of either a bar or b bar which is parallel to another vector. So a bar here, a cos theta is a component which is parallel to b bar. So I will be writing it as a cos theta into b, right? This is a bar dot b bar which is a cos theta into b. So only parallel component you will be multiplying. This gives you a scalar quantity. And what is a cos theta? A cos theta is a component of a along b. Component of a bar along b bar is a cos theta. And how can you find out this a cos theta? A cos theta is equal to a bar dot b bar divided by magnitude of b. Similarly, you can find out component of b bar along a bar is component of b bar you are finding. So that becomes b cos theta. B cos theta is equal to a bar dot b bar divided by magnitude of a, right? So these are the two equations. Using this, you can find out component of a bar along b bar or component of b bar along a bar. And remember that a bar dot b bar is equal to b bar dot a bar is equal to magnitude of a, magnitude of b into cos theta. This is important conclusion, right? So a bar dot b bar or b bar dot a bar, as it is a scalar quantity because it is not represented with any direction. Therefore, you will be finally getting a magnitude, b magnitude and cos theta. All these are scalars. Magnitude of a, magnitude of b, cos theta, all are scalars. So a dot b or b dot a gives you the same result because it is just a number. These are called as properties of dot product. So first property is that a bar dot a bar, as these are parallel to each other, a bar dot a bar is equal to a square. And when you are multiplying a bar with a null vector, you will get 0, which is null. But you should not call this as null vector because the final product is a scalar quantity in dot product. Similarly, I dot I and I both are parallel to each other. So therefore, angle between them is 0, cos 0 will be equal to 1, I dot I will be equal to 1. Likewise, I dot j, both are perpendicular to each other. Therefore, cos 90 will be equal to 0. I dot j, j dot k, k dot I is equal to 0. So two vectors which you are multiplying by dot product, if they are perpendicular, their resultant is equal to 0. And we have already learned a dot b is equal to b dot a is equal to ab cos theta. So a dot b is numerically equal to b dot a. These are few properties of dot product. You need to remember these properties when we are dealing with dot product. First one, as I told you, a dot a is equal to a square and I dot I, j dot j, k dot k is equal to 1. And second one, a dot b is equal to b dot a, already learned. Multiplying a vector with null vector gives you 0. And a dot b is equal to a cos theta into b, or you can write it as b cos theta into a, where a cos theta is nothing but projection of a on b, b cos theta is nothing but projection of b on a. Next, a dot b plus c is equal to a bar. This and this you will have dot product, a dot b. Next, multiply a bar with dot product with c. So a dot c, this is called as distributive law. Distributive law is valid in case of dot product. Similarly, you have another condition, L a bar dot m b bar. L and m are scalars. So simply you will write L and m outside, and a bar b bar you will be taking dot product. So finally this will be giving you L m into a magnitude b magnitude into cos theta. Cos theta is the angle between a bar and b bar. Next, as I told you, a dot b is equal to 0, both are perpendicular to each other. So if dot product of any two vectors is 0, then it means that they are perpendicular to each other. I dot j, j dot k, k dot I is equal to 0. Next, a plus b whole square formula is valid when you are doing dot product. Similarly, a plus b and a minus b rule is valid when you are doing dot product. And if you have two vectors, a bar and b bar, ai plus, this is vector a bar, this is vector b bar. Now when you are taking dot product of these two vectors, simply multiply their components in the same direction. Component of a bar b bar along I, it is a1 and b1. So a1 and b1 multiplied plus a2 b2 plus a3 b3. Simply multiply the components along that particular directions to get dot product of two vectors. Of course, we will solve one or two problems in next coming video lecture about this multiplication of vectors. Don't worry about it. Now coming to the other, a dot b is non-zero, like a bar b bar are non-zero vectors. So if you want to find out angle between them, simply you can write down cos theta. Right, cos theta is equal to a bar dot b bar. Actually a and b should be here. Those two are being brought to denominator on the other side, so that angle between two vectors can be calculated using dot product as a dot b divided by magnitude of a and magnitude of b. A bar and b bar, just you can substitute from this a bar and a dot b, it is a1 b1 plus a2 b2 plus a3 b3. Just I will substitute here. Magnitude of a is under root x square plus y square plus z square. Similarly, magnitude of b. So this is equal to cos theta. So you can find out angle between two vectors using dot product. And these are called properties of dot product. And for intermediate syllabus, this question is being asked for 4 marks for board exam.